The best way for your website to get more organic traffic from Google is for Google to trust your site as the authority on a specific subject. In modern SEO, we accomplish this through something called a topical map. The idea is you start in the center of the map with the hub, the main topic that you want to focus on, and then you have spokes that come off of that hub that are all of the subtopics surrounding that main topic. If you completely fill in this topical map, well, you'll have a pretty good chance of being authoritative in the eyes of Google. Now, doing this is no small feat, but thanks to AI tools, it's a lot easier than it used to be. Enter TopicalMap.ai on AppSumo. This is an SEO tool that's $69, one-time fee, and promises to do everything I just talked about in a matter of seconds. And all you got to do is click and maybe give it your website's URL. It'll even analyze your existing content and tell you where there might be gaps in your knowledge, and give you a list of keywords that you need to write content about in order to fill in those gaps. And hey, it can even write the content for you as well. So is this thing as good as I'm explaining it right now? Well, yeah, there are parts of this tool that I think are really good, but there are other parts that kind of fall a little bit flat. In this video, I'm going to break down the entire tool for you, show you the workflow that I would recommend, and then you can decide if you want to grab this one or maybe wait for something else. My name is Dave, by the way, and I review software tools just like this all the time. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed or you just want to keep up with the latest and greatest in the AI world, definitely get subscribed to this channel. You're in the right place. I'll make it easy for you. By the way, this video is sponsored by AppSumo, the place where you can go to buy TopicalMap.ai, but they don't have any oversight. In fact, they won't even see this video before I publish it. So I'm going to give you my honest take on exactly what I think of this tool. Let's get into it. So this is my account for TopicalMaps.ai. And if you're just getting started with a fresh account, what I recommend doing is actually going over to the sitemap section and then just click right here where it says plus new sitemap. So you're going to add in your website sitemap. It's typically something like yourdomain.com/sitemap.xml or something like that. If you're using WordPress, look in your SEO plugin. If you're using another CMS, just Google it. It probably has kind of a naming convention you can follow and just paste that in. What that's going to do is give TopicalMap.ai a list of all of your existing content. And from there, it'll be able to analyze your website and figure out where the gaps are. Now, I've already added my sitemap in here for daveswift.com. You can see the URL on screen, and it pulled in almost 600 pages. My site's getting kind of big. You click into it, and there's nothing really to see here because this is just to basically feed the AI system with a place to look. But to make use of this, we want to create a brand new map, and you'll do that on the main dashboard screen, also found in the navigation menu under Maps. So as I scroll through this page here, you're going to see I've got two maps that I already created. The first one is just the default Dave Swift map. And from there, I actually created an additional map, which I'll explain in a minute. But the process for this is pretty simple. You just click at the top here where it says new map. And then to get started with your very first one, you'll want to choose the SEO map. You'll click on this, give it a name. It can be whatever you want, and then choose your niche. It's got some examples here, but all you have to do is describe what it is that your main topic is that you want to rank for. Now, do not click generate map yet, especially if you added in your sitemap.xml file. Instead, you're going to click on the advanced options here where you can choose your industry, your target audience, and your primary goal. So for me, if I'm looking for more clients to help with their website, I might choose something like technology and software. My target audience might be entrepreneurs, and my primary goal could be just more organic traffic, or it could be to generate more leads. Now, there is one pretty big bug on this screen. So for example, here, if I give the map name, let's just call it Dave Swift as the map name, and then I type something into the niche, watch what happens to the map name. I'm just going to type in map name here. You can see it actually just replaces whatever was in the map name with the niche. So that's, in my eyes, that's kind of an inexcusable bug. It's huge and glaring and very annoying. So what you actually have to do is set your niche first, and then you can go back and change the map name, but don't make any changes to the niche because then the map name gets erased. All right, but I've got everything all set up. I'll mention here there is also some language settings as well as some country settings. The list of languages is not small, but it's certainly not the entire globe. Kind of same goes for the country settings. So just keep in mind if you're, not in the US and you're not speaking English, you'll definitely want to make sure that whatever language you need to write your website in is supported here. Then we can choose how many topics we want to generate from a few to a lot, and then what model we want to use to actually do the generation. So I'm going to choose Sonnet 4.6. The only other real option in my mind would be going with GPT-4o Mini. And the reason I say that is the amount of credits that these plans use. Sonnet 4.6 uses twice as many credits as a normal, but well, it's kind of confusing, right? Because it actually uses 4 times as many credits. There's not a 1.0 credit multiplier here. So you're either looking at 2x or 0.5x. And then to confuse matters more, you could also choose GPT-4o for 2x multiplier, but between these two models, it's a no-brainer. Definitely go with Sonnet 4.6. In fact, I would just recommend that most of the time get the better map with Sonnet 4.6. If you're going to do this, you might as well do it well. Then there's only a couple of other settings left, but they are very important. So use my existing sitemap. If you've added a sitemap in earlier, you'll definitely want to choose it here. That's what's going to give the AI access to your existing content so it can look for gaps or places to improve. Then we've also got the option over here to edit subtopics before generating the map. So I'd probably turn this on. It's going to just basically give you an extra step as you generate your topical map where you could add or remove certain keywords. If you want to add some in manually, you can do that. You can also use AI to generate additional keywords if you're not happy with everything that it comes up with. But at this point, you just go ahead and generate your map and you're good to go. Generating the map only takes a couple of minutes and it's going to show up on your main dashboard when you're done. And then you can click into the map and actually start to view whatever it analyzed and came up with for you. This part of the workflow kind of starts to break down in terms of good user experience. There's a lot of options that are not very clear and multiple ways to get to the same content. And then sometimes you just kind of peter out and can't get to where you're going. Let me explain. So as we are looking at this, I've got some measurements up here at the top, not real clear on what data quality good means. So it's there, I can't dismiss it. I could also download my map right here. That's nice, I like that, but it doesn't have to be like a notification. They could just have an export button. Then as we continue through the rest of the interface, you're gonna see some keywords. So here are my buyer keywords. Notice that each one of these have 0 volume, meaning that there's nobody searching for these. Well, that's not entirely true. This system requires a third-party integration. I'll show you how to set this up later, but I wish it was a little bit more clear from the beginning that you needed to use a third-party service in order to get search volume. Now, if I scroll a little bit further, I get to what they call the cluster table, where it shows me all of my subtopics, the primer keywords, and then the actual keywords beneath them. And from there, I can have it generate a content brief. So for example, if I wanted to create some content around this keyword, how to create mobile apps that make $3,000 a day, I would click over here on the brief icon, and then I would think it's going to generate the brief for me, but it doesn't. It actually just takes me to this little tab, which if I open up, I can see a list of all of the topics that were provided for me, but it's not necessarily going to include all of the topics I saw above, only a few of them. Now, the one I just mentioned happened to be here. So I'll select it and then I'll choose generate brief. It's going to cost me 0.25 credits to generate a brief. And then when this is done, I'll have something I can use inside of other tools, like if I want to export it and use it with my own subscription to ChatGPT or Claude, I could certainly do that. Here's an example of what you get in a brief. It's going to give you a complete outline of the content. It doesn't actually write the content here. There is another tool for that. There's a content generation section, but this is a much more thorough outline than you'll even get when you use their content generation. So we've got a very thorough outline here. We've got some internal link suggestions for links that you might want to add on your site. Now, it'd be nice here if this were internal links that already exist on my website, but they're not. They're just kind of made up links. So I find that to be a little weird. We've also got an FAQ section here. And then very importantly, a people also ask from Google section, which can give you a lot of ideas for future content. There's a lot of other SEO data here, like competitor gaps, call to action ideas, and then generative engine optimization, or basically how you can get displayed by something like ChatGPT when people are asking questions. You could actually have ChatGPT refer your site, acting in place of Google. Down at the bottom of the brief, I can copy it or export it to PDF or regenerate it if I'm not very happy with the quality. So right now we are in the view of what's called a cluster table of our topical map, but we can see the same information in many different views. So there is a topic list here, which if I click into that, I'm going to see that I just get a long list of all of the topic ideas that it created for me. It also gave me a list of all keywords. So these are keywords I would want to base around topic. We've got the subtopic and the micro topic here. And I can even mark if I've published articles on these to kind of keep track of things. We also get a content calendar, which is actually quite a nice view. So essentially when the topical map was created, it came up with a ton of different articles. I think like 73 different articles that it says I should publish for my website. And rather than just giving me the list of articles, well, instead it gives me a timeline on when I should publish them and prioritizes the most important ones. I think this is probably one of my favorite parts about the entire tool, to be honest. I can export this content calendar to an ICS file to import into any calendar application and then just make sure I stay on track from there. In fact, I want to emphasize that exporting is one of the best features of this tool. So there are export buttons everywhere. If I'm in the cluster table, the default view, there's export actions over here where I can export specifically for AI tools. I can export just the micro topics. I can export in the AI tools export. It gives you the option to just export all of the markdown files. That's great. If you're a Notion user, it's got compatibility with that as well. And also Claude projects. So if you're a big Claude user, you can have pre-configured Claude projects with ready-to-use prompts to complete the topical map. Now, when you're all done creating content for this topical map, that doesn't mean your website is somehow complete. No, if you go back to the main map screen, it's going to give you a suggestion for the next map you should generate. So in this case, it says the best productivity apps for entrepreneurs. Remember, my website's all about software, so it's looking at different aspects or different angles that I could take in the software world. So I would just click create this map. It's going to go ahead and take me through the same settings we saw before. And of course, I can link up my existing site. It would be nice if it did that part automatically, because I could see myself forgetting to click into the advanced settings. And I've already kind of said, hey, you're getting the referral idea from my original site. So, let's keep this going. Let's keep building the site. I'm back inside of my primary map here. And I just want to point out that these tools over to the side, they kind of take you into another view. So you can see I've got a little toolbar up at the top here where I've got a few other options. So I could generate content based on the keywords that they suggest, like what is the best app for running a business? I'll click this button right here to generate some content. I find that the content that's created is far less complete than the outline it did on the previous step. We'll see here in a moment that generating the articles doesn't take very long. It's kind of similar to if you had just generated an article inside of ChatGPT by saying, hey, write an article about what the best app for running a business is. You can see here we've got a 830 word article. I can click to view it, and it's written in Markdown, so you'd have to update that for your content platform if it doesn't accept Markdown natively. It's very slim content. It would definitely need to be beefed up. You can see each section is maybe 1 to 2 sentences. So overall, I'd say the content generation is a little bit disappointing. On the positive side, it does have the ability to download the content. That is really nice. And it even has an integration with WordPress. So I can scroll down to the bottom here and then connect up my WordPress website and publish directly to it if I wanted to. However, I just don't think the content is quite up to par. Now, there are some generation settings here that I skipped over, but you can see I had the word count set to 1,500 and it only gave me an 800 word article. So what would I have to do if I increase this to say 4,000? Is it then going to give me a 2,000 word article? Well, I guess we should try it. All right, my article was regenerated with the 4,000 word count And it's even shorter than the first one, so I don't quite know what to make of that. All right, back up to this menu bar here. I was trying to mention this earlier. For the tools, it has this weird sub-menu bar where we've got our content section here for generating content. We've also got a calendar option, which takes us over to another content calendar, which is actually different than the content calendar I showed you before. This one is just a queue of possible articles that I can click a button to have it generate the complete article. It's, like I said, kind of disconnected. It's like, why do we have all of these random tools that don't seem to talk to each other? Except they kind of do, because we've got the keywords built in throughout. But yeah, I think you get what I'm saying here. Why is this content calendar not connected to the other content calendar? And like, there's this section here that says start here, and it's got the highest priority keywords to queue first, but they're not the first keywords in the content queue. So why wouldn't it just put them in that order? I'm not really sure. Well, my article was done here. We can take a look at this. It's going to be 1,600 words, so we're almost double what we were before, but it doesn't display with the correct formatting. So we can see it's got markdown inside of the article, but it's really hard to read for my lowly human eyes. I haven't gotten the AI processing of, just being able to delete spaces and still make sense of text. No editing tools built into this either, so you definitely would just download the content and then make any changes you need on another platform. All right, so we've got three tools. We looked at the content, we looked at the calendar. There's also this SERP section, which is for SERP analysis. SERP, if you're new to SEO, stands for Search Engine Results Page. Basically, what is it gonna look like when it shows up on Google? If I were considering writing an article about all-in-one apps for entrepreneurs, I might want to see what the SERPs currently look like. So I've selected that keyword, I'll analyze it, and then down below here, I should get some results in a moment. All right, we've got our SERP analysis report here, or the results have come back. We've got one keyword that was analyzed and it was marked as easy. It could be labeled medium or hard, just letting me know if this is an article I might want to try and tackle. Now, in this case, it shows me some opportunities as well as some content gaps. I got to call out that reading this text right here, I'm not a low vision person, but I find it to be quite straining. So I wish the contrast levels were a little bit high, and I could see this absolutely failing accessibility standards. It's quite difficult. I mean, I can read it, but it should be a lot easier to understand what this text says. All that said, the information that it gave me is fairly helpful. There is a featured snippet opportunity here, so that I might be able to stand out on Google's search result page if I structure my content appropriately. And also, this has low domain diversity, so it'll be easier to rank for. These are two important things I would look for. What I don't understand is how this is so disconnected from the content creation process. Build this right in line in some sort of a wizard where if I'm thinking about publishing articles on a keyword, I might want to know this information before I actually go in and generate the outline or even the content in full. Instead, it's tucked away inside of this little toolkit here, which if I go back to the main screen or my main map overview screen, the tools are over here. So I don't know, it's just usability wise, I would like for all of the menu options to stay the same at the top, but they just simply do not. And as you already saw me before dismiss this earlier, it keeps coming back. So every time I revisit the page, it prompts me to download the map again. Not a big deal, but just kind of annoying and a little bit amateurish if we're being honest. Oh, and hey, one more thing, as long as I'm on a bit of a rant, there's another tool over here called the internal links tool. If I click on this, it's going to give me internal link suggestions, and it's not in the menu bar at all. So just again, kind of a continuity user flow thing that definitely needs improvement. Now, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer here. This product isn't all bad. It's just very clearly in early stages and has some UX refinements needed. It does have support, however, for Google Search Console, which is one of the best tools that you can use from Google for your website. You don't have to install anything on your site to use Google Search Console, and instead, Google just gives you a window into the data they have about the keywords that you rank for and how often people click on your website when you display in the search engine results page. Now, going straight back to the errors, when I tried to connect up Google Search Console initially, I just couldn't get it working. The link that they put on the main dashboard would take me to a 404. And if I went to my account page, nothing happened. If I click on the profile settings, it doesn't load, and I'm not sure why that is. I can see in the lower left-hand corner, the URL is /account, and when I click on it, it doesn't take me there. However, if I just type in the URL, it takes me there very quickly. And if I go down to the bottom of the page here, I will see the integration with Google Search Console, and there you go, it's all set up. Now, one downside here is you can only connect to one property in Google Search Console at a time. It's easy to switch this out, but it would be nice if there was somehow support for multiple sites, or you could kind of link kind of like client accounts. So you could link different brands together and generate reports for your clients. On that note, if you get the right AppSumo plan, it does have white label exporting, and it also has an API connection, so you can actually control this from another third-party service, like maybe your Hermes agent, your OpenClaw agent, or just integrate it with something like N8N. And earlier, if you remember, I was showing you that the keyword metrics were kind of blank, and that's because you need to integrate with one of these providers. They work with SEMrush, Ahrefs, or Data for SEO, which is going to be by far the cheapest option, and it's really the one that I use on a day-to-day basis. Now, I don't hate this idea in terms of if I've already got subscriptions to these services and I want to use TopicalMap.ai to get the information. That's totally fine with me, but they should probably make it more clear that, hey, we're not displaying the information here because you haven't integrated with one of the providers that we work with. They also let you bring your own key for AI providers, which is pretty nice. It works with both OpenAI as well as Anthropic. In terms of the pricing, I find it to be very fair. $69 is tier 1, and really the only thing you're missing on tier 1 and tier 2 is going to be API access as well as white labeling reports. Then you're just kind of looking at the usage per month. So if you need more usage, buy a higher tier plan. You can go all the way up to tier 4, which is going to give you up to 150 maps per month. I do find it interesting that the number of credits you get per month is not listed on the deal page. I have tier 4 and I get 500 credits per month as well as 150 maps per month. I can confirm that those are reoccurring credits. It says right here, credits per month included. But what I can't tell you is how many credits you're going to get on the lower tier plans because I don't see it listed anywhere. Overall, this is a good SEO tool for a very little amount of money. SEO is extremely expensive by nature. They're keeping costs low by integrating with third-party tools for things like volume and search information, which I think is actually kind of brilliant. But in terms of getting tons of value out of your $69 investment, that's kind of up to you because you're not going to go end to end with this tool. It'll give you the plan, but then you still need to execute it either by manual effort. Gosh, no, it's 2026, we don't do that, or by exporting it into another tool where you can work from there. I think this could work really well with something like Neuron Writer, if you're familiar with that. Previous AppSumo Ltd definitely would give you a great start in terms of mapping out a ton of content that you want to create, and then bring it into Neuron Writer to actually do the composition and make sure that all of the keywords are in appropriate places, so on and so forth. Overall, I like Topical Map. It's just very clearly needing some more refinement. I'm going to give this one a 6.6 out of 10. That's going to do it for this review. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you want to support the channel, I've got my link down below. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment down below. Ask any questions you have or just say hey for the algorithm. I'd greatly appreciate it. Get signed up for my free email newsletter over at daveswift.com. That's going to do it today. I'll see you again with another video very soon. Thanks for watching. See you soon.